Hi. So remember how we were talking about my local area and we're brainstorming some ideas? Well, now we're going to look at another literary device, and this is personification. And this is when you give objects or animals a human quality, so something that you normally think about when you think of a human. So for example, if I said the leaves were dancing in the wind, leaves don't dance, but people do, so I've given it that personal quality. So let's have a look at some examples. The wind howled in the night. The flowers were begging for water. They were so thirsty, but they don't actually beg. That's what people do. The moon played hide and seek with the clouds. So see how it's giving you a bit of imagery when you're thinking about it. It makes it more interesting, your writing. My alarm yelled at me this morning. Alarms don't actually yell. That's what a person does. But we're using personification. So let's have a look here and see if you can, with me, highlight the personification used in these sentences. So let's have a look here. The wind howled in the night. Let's have a look. It is howled. Wind does not howl like a person does. The flowers were begging for water. They were begging. The moon played. That is a human quality. And my alarm yelled at me in this morning. What would you choose? Yelled. That's it. My alarm yelled at me in the morning. So to think of, when you're trying to think of how to use personification in your writing, you've got to think of some verbs. So you've got to think, what do people do? People cry, sing, drink, refuse, walk, dance, whistle, shout, skip, sleep, touch, leap, tickle, laugh, hold, smell, dribble, bathe, whine, howl, bounce, hop, jump, giggle, whisper, tremble, lick, watch and ache. So think about some verbs that people do and then try putting them to some of the objects. And you can also think about the human body. So you can think about fingers and hands and arms and neck, head, eyes, nose, all of the different parts of the human body. And think about a human's feelings. So think about what do humans experience that objects wouldn't experience, like pain or sadness, anger, frustration, embarrassment, joy, happiness. They might be lonely or warm or connected. They might feel disgust, which is like ugh, or sorrow, which is deep sadness, or surprise or fear or excitement. So here's an example here. The tree cried in pain when the girl cut off its arms. Now, a tree doesn't have arms, and a tree also doesn't cry in pain, but we're giving it that verb, so we're giving it that personification from a human perspective. So we're pretending the tree's crying like a human cries, and that it's crying in pain, that it's got a feeling like a human. When the girl cut off its arms, and we're saying like the branches are its arms. And let's have a look here if we can match. Personification is when an object or thing is given human qualities. So match the object or thing with the sentence to show how it's been given human qualities. Let's have a go. The light danced on top of the water. In that one, what are we personifying? I think we are personifying light, because light doesn't actually dance on water. That's something a human would do. But we can say the light danced on the water, and that's when you see it nice sparkles on the water. Okay, let's have a look at the personification of, let's try one of these ones from the bottom. The stars winked in the sky. So they just winked, but they didn't actually wink. But we're personifying the stars. Is that what you would have chosen? Personification of the stars. And then the last one here, the sun smiled brightly at the world. It's like saying the sun is really joyful and it's smiling brightly, but the sun doesn't actually smile. So we're personifying the sun. How did you go with that one? Now, is it going to let us go to the next slide? Let's have a look. So now I want to bring my ideas to life using personification. So remember, I was writing about my local area, and in the boring sentences I wrote, there is a big garden with lots of flowers at the end of my street that people can visit. It has a blue-tongued lizard and a water dragon that live around the pond. It has lots of trees in a forest at the end of the garden. That's kind of boring, so I'm going to try and bring it to life using personification. The joyful garden at the end of my street has colourful flowers that dance in the wind. The blue-tongued lizard and the water dragon hang out together at the pond and laze around in the sunlight. At the end of the forest, the trees whisper to each other in hushed voices. So see how it's giving you that imagery? Can you find the personification in those? Let's see if we can find it together. We're looking at these last 3 sentences here underneath this line. The joyful garden at the end of my street has colourful flowers that dance in the wind. Which bit is the personification? Well, I can start with joyful because a garden is not like a person. A garden's not joyful, but it gives that feeling that it's just so beautiful and so lively. At the end of my street has colourful flowers that dance in the wind. Can you think of the other one? That's it. It's dance, because the flowers don't really dance in the wind, but it looks like they're dancing. It makes you imagine that they're moving around in the wind. The blue-tongued lizard and the water dragon hang out together. They don't really hang out together. That's something that people do. They hang out together at the pond and laze around in the sunlight. Can you think of the other word there that shows personification? That's right, it's laze. They're lazing around, sunbaking. At the end of the forest, the trees whisper to each other in hushed voices. It makes it sort of feel a bit mystical and magical because they're whispering to each other, but really that might just be sort of the noise that you hear from the wind. In hushed voices, whisper and to each other. Did you get those two? Now I'm going to think about it. What am I going to choose? And you're going to help me. So people go for walks in the gardens and they take their dogs for a walk down the street, or they go to the dog park. And I've got to say something about what type of dogs they are and what they do around the dog park. I'm going to try and give them a bit of a person, as though they're a person. So I'm going to say, so we have a choice here. What kind of dogs are they? Are they joyful dogs, or are they going to be fit dogs, like these fit people here? I think we'll say joyful dogs. And do they play hide and seek around the dog park, or do they skip around the dog park? Could be either of them. What would you choose? I think play hide and seek around the dog park, because even though they don't, I like how it feels. These joyful dogs playing games around the dog park. And now it's going to be your turn to brainstorm your ideas. So think about your local area and what there was in your local area. And then you made that map before with some little areas. And I want you to think about, we want to fill in a sentence to personify how the wind moves or sounds in your local area. You could type your own if you want, or you can drag and drop these across. So if you think about somewhere in your local area, where are you going to choose? Shall I say the football field, the garden, the cotton field, the bike track, the soccer pitch, the school, the farm? I might say the bike track. So the grass at the bike track and the wind something through the grass at the bike track. Now, where you are, is it very windy with the wind howling and screaming through, or does it just sort of go slowly through the grass as though it's whispering or singing? Or does the wind dance through the grass at the bike track? I think when it's really windy, and because of all those bikes as well, I think it screams through the grass at the bike track. So I'm going to say the wind screams through the grass at the bike track, and that makes it sound like this big gust of wind. So you can make up your own when you think about the place where you are and use personification for your local area. Bye.